guys, Delegate here, and welcome back to a new video. This video is going to show you how I did the Chapter 2 Knights of the Eternal Throne end boss fight on Veteran mode. So this fight took me a long time to do. I wiped, I think, for at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It's probably one of the hardest fights to do. I really wasn't expecting it. Most of the other fights weren't too bad. Chapter 1 was okay. I did Knights of the Fallen Empire. Some of the veterans, like first, second, and third chapters, they weren't, they weren't easy, but they weren't hard either compared to this fight. This is the hardest solo fight I think I've had to do. Anyway, let's get on with the tactics for this so you guys can do it. So there are 4 main abilities that the main boss can use, and if you don't know or aren't aware of these, they will one-shot you, and it's a wipe. So I'm going to name these out now. You've got Hail of Bolts. Hail of Bolts is a sort of cone attack, but generally I think it does something crazy like 40k a tick. It's insane. That needs interrupting as soon as the boss starts casting that. It's not a channeled thing. It literally he'll just it's a channeled ability. So it's not a casted one where he's sort of waiting until the cast is finished so that it pops off. It's just as soon as you see it, you need to interrupt it. The second one is called Ultimate Shot. That is a channeled sort of thing. So only once it has reached the end that his attack will go off. If you don't interrupt that, it's a one-shot. Good news is that Ultimate Shot is something like a 10 to 15 second cast time, which means you've got a long time to react before you need to intervene on the main boss dude. The third attack is called Fire Mine, which does something around 27k a tick, and it's an AoE. So it's not just going to be on you, it's going to be on your companion as well, and we all know companions aren't the cleverest bunch of people in the game. So that's the third main attack. The fourth main attack is called Iron Pulse, I believe. It's a blue AoE, and it's used in the last phase of the fight, and if you're in it, you are dead. So it's a blue AoE that goes on the ground, and you have to just be aware before that happens so that you don't go in it and you don't die. So yeah, there's like 2 phases to the fight. I'm really not sure the best wording to use. So yeah, Hail of Bolts, interrupt immediately. If you can't interrupt because you've, used the interrupt on another attack, maybe on an ad or on the wrong ability by the main boss, then you can get away with using something like Obfuscate. So Obfuscate is the Marauder's accuracy debuff, which is like 90% less accuracy. It's a 90% accuracy debuff on that target. I've used it, so I know it does work. I don't know if something like Diversion works either. You can try that out and let me know. If you can't use your main interrupt ability. You can't really interrupt Fire Mine. That's the third ability. Fire Mine is just sort of an AoE that he places on the ground, and you just have to move. He does it 3 or 4 times, so you just have to constantly move out of the way. Another kind of main mechanic is the boss does grapple and pull you in, so you have to be aware of that as well. Grappling, and the ads do stun you as well. They do CC you. I got away with it on this fight. I'm quite lucky. I think I got stunned once, and I think I used my breaker. So I think there's more words which are complicating the issue. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video and play the video and sort of explain what you guys should be aware of as it's happening. So let's go ahead and just start this now. I'm going to start off with a heroic moment. just because you can get some really high damage abilities off the cuff, and well, why else wouldn't you use Heroic Moment in a crazy situation like this? So for me, I just start off with a Zen as well, and go in with a choke on the first ad that you focus. So yeah, just pause the video here. What you want to do is you want to never focus damage on the boss until both ads are dead. So this fight is all about managing the boss and taking down each ad at a time, so that once both ads are dead, you can then focus on the boss. So first phase is get both ads down. Pick an ad first, and maybe if you're not used to it, put a focus target on the boss so you can see his casts and be aware of what he's using. Yeah, so what he'll do is he'll grapple everyone in, and as soon as the boss uses a AoE fire attack, it's very much like the fire sweep from a power tech. That means most likely, not always, there's a bit of RNG involved here, but most likely his next attack will be Hail of Bolts. If it's Hail of Bolts, you need to interrupt. Hopefully you don't make an assumption that as soon as you start seeing something cast, you interrupt, because it's not necessarily going to be Hail of Bolts, and then you've wasted an interrupt. That's what I've done. But in this situation, it's Hail of Bolts, so immediately interrupt that. Then what you want to do is you want to then tab back onto your chosen ad and just get them down really quick. All your damage on them as soon as possible. The second ability that the boss does use will be coming quite shortly, and you can see it now. I've just tapped onto him, and it's Ultimate Shot. This here says it's 16 seconds. I don't know if the cast bar is accurate, but it's 16 seconds here, and you don't want to interrupt the boss at all until, say, 15 seconds. This is because during this cast, the boss isn't doing any damage, so you don't really need to care about what he's doing, right? Like, you know he's casting something, it's pretty lethal. If you don't interrupt it, you're dead. But in the meantime, you know, you can just focus on the ads, and that's really what you want. The more ultimate shots, the better, because then he's not doing any of the other attacks, which still do quite a bit of damage, and you can just focus on the ads. So you can see that by mistake, I actually interrupted him. Bad thing to do, really. Then I'm lucky that there wasn't another Hail of Bolts in this situation, really. He just went back straight onto an ultimate shot here. And I just sort of tab off him and pick my... I go back onto my ad, which is like 5%, and get him down really quick. Then I move on to the second ad and use what I can. Then interrupt the boss again, and yeah, he does something called like an aimed shot. Hail of Bolts, interrupted, back on the second ad here, finish the ad off. As you can see, the ads do move around, they go inwards and then outwards. Both ads do that, so you have to make sure you sort of know where they are and where they're going. And I just go hand with some of my Heroic Moment abilities here. I really don't care. Now, this is very important. You can see here it's about 70% HP, maybe I'd say 75% that this gets the boss into sort of the next phase. This phase is essentially just where he starts casting this thing called Fire Mine. Fire Mine does something like 27k a tick, right? So, you can see I move away here. I put my companion on passive. Companion should come away. Again, he pulled me in. Have to run away again. You got to also bear in mind you don't want to keep your companion on passive all the time, because if you have got hit by the fire mine, you're not going to be healed up. if your companion's passive. So in this fight, I do recommend you put your companion on passive to run away, and then as soon as the boss has finished all of his fire mine business, then you want to take your companion off passive so that she'll just start healing you again as soon as possible. But there's this thing like a blue AoE that just sort of gets put straight on the ground. It's like an explosion. If you're in that, it's a one shot. It does something crazy like 100k damage. You can't avoid it. It's more than 100k actually, because that's around the same amount as my health at the moment. So you need to do, yeah, you just need to stay away from it. Interrupt Taylor bolts if you can, and then just focus on getting as much damage out as you can on the boss whilst he's not in the air doing his fire mine business. This is all just use any legacy stuff that you've still got up. I didn't even get it in. Yeah, I got an interrupt a bit late on the Halo bolts there, but as you can see, that's the fight, guys. So enjoy.